Imagine trying to build, like, a multi-million-dollar Hollywood film studio
Okay.
and a globally recognized institute for peace studies, plus a massive post-Brexit international logistics hub.
Right, which sounds like the master plan for a major capital city.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But imagine trying to build all of that in a quiet, rural farming county, one that's famous mostly for, sheep, rainy weather, and really bumpy hills.
Yeah, that sounds completely impossible, honestly.
It really does. But today, we are looking at what might actually be the ultimate masterclass in rural survival. So, welcome to the deep dive.
Glad to be here.
For you listening, we're taking a deep, strategic look at County Cavan today. It's a border region in Ireland, and based on this stack of strategic blueprints we have, they are totally rewriting the rulebook on how forgotten rural areas can completely reinvent themselves for the 21st century.
Yeah, they really are not holding back.
No, they aren't. To set the scene for you, if you don't know Cavan, it's known for these incredible drumlins.
Right, the glacial hills.
Yeah, these distinct, teardrop-shaped hills left behind by ancient glaciers. It gives the landscape a very bumpy, almost cinematic look. But culturally, the sources point out it's heavily stereotyped.
Oh, absolutely.
In Irish jokes, it's often teased as being sleepy, exceptionally quiet, and, well, economically stingy.
Which is a tough reputation to shake. But for anyone listening outside of Ireland, you might be wondering why you should care about Cavan.
Right. Why does this matter to someone in, say, Ohio or rural France?
Because Cavan is this perfect, compressed microcosm of a massive global crisis, which is rural decline.
Exactly.
What is happening in Cavan is exactly what is hollowing out towns in the American Midwest, the French countryside, parts of rural Japan. You have severe youth migration, right?
We'll start with the Cavan Challenge, then explore the Crown Jewel strategy and its specific pillars, Ireland's next Hollywood, and the Peace Tourism Gateway, before wrapping up with funding the future and connecting two worlds. Let's jump right in.
Section 1. The Cavan Challenge and what it really takes to survive the 21st century. When we think about the core challenges threatening the region's survival, it's pretty clear what's at stake. Think about it. If you don't have young people or strong urban centers, your regional infrastructure just slowly dies. Cavan faces this severe brain drain, where educated young folks are packing up for Dublin or heading abroad. On top of that, it's often unfairly stereotyped in Irish jokes as being quiet or stingy. Add in decades of historical underinvestment because of its location near the Northern Ireland border, plus the total lack of a massive city to act as an economic engine, and you've got a real uphill battle.
So, how do you fix this? That brings us to Section 2, the Crown Jewel strategy. Complement, don't compete. The crucial point here is that Cavan needs a massive paradigm shift. It absolutely has to stop trying to beat Dublin at its own game. Trying to out-Dublin Dublin is just impossible. Building random suburban sprawl, generic malls, or copying a city skyline just strips away the county's actual identity. Instead, the ideal move is becoming a crown jewel, a prestige rural extension. It's all about offering what Dublin simply cannot: Ireland's creative countryside, a prestige region, a cultural retreat where successful people go to just breathe. To actually achieve this prestige status, Cavan's vision relies on three highly distinct pillars. We're talking about becoming Ireland's Hollywood for film and creative production, a peace tourism gateway for grounded historical education, and a remote work paradise that leans into incredible lifestyle and high-speed tech. It's a total game changer. Let's break down that first pillar in Section 3, Ireland's next Hollywood, the cinematic countryside. We're starting with arguably the most glamorous pillar. The global film landscape is totally shifting right now. Massive streaming giants need a huge volume of content, and they are actively moving shoots away from ultra-expensive, overcrowded traditional hubs like Los Angeles, London, and Vancouver. Cavan is an absolute gold mine here. It has naturally cinematic landscapes, misty lakes, isolated roads, ancient forests, meaning it can easily double as a fantasy world or a post-apocalyptic landscape without needing to build massive, super expensive artificial sets. But hey, beautiful hills aren't enough on their own, right? You need the mechanical infrastructure to build a functioning film economy. Step 1 is building modern countryside studios and virtual campuses. Step 2, you got to utilize Irish film tax credits to attract those mid-budget streaming shows. Step 3 is absolutely crucial: upgrading to high-speed fiber internet for heavy CGI and remote editing workflows. And Step 4, expanding hotel capacity for those massive film crews. You have to intentionally build the ecosystem, not just point a camera at a beautiful lake.
Now, moving on to Section 4, the Peace Tourism Gateway, Storytelling and Reconciliation.
Cavan has a very unique geographical and historical placement right near the border of Northern Ireland. From the partition of Ireland in the 1920s, through the painful border conflicts and the Troubles in the late 20th century, all the way to the peace processes of the 1990s. Today, a region that was once defined by division is transforming into a powerful educational gateway for peace tourism. It's a lot like how places in Germany or Rwanda teach their difficult histories to the world, carefully, respectfully, and authentically.
And there's a really vital distinction we need to make here. Global audiences, especially younger travelers, crave cultural credibility. They want learning while traveling. That means Cavan has to focus on authentic history, preserving local archives, elevating local voices, building educational centers for post-conflict studies, and supporting indie films that actually document border life. There has to be a strict avoidance of what we'd call theme park nationalism or cheap tourist cosplay. It's definitely not about commercializing the past. It's about respectful, accessible storytelling.
So, the big question, how do we pay for all this? That brings us to Section 5, Funding the Future and the EU Arsenal.
You're probably wondering how on earth a rural county affords film studios and peace institutes while they aren't starting from scratch. The European Union actually has a massive financial toolkit specifically designed to stop rural brain drain and decentralize growth. There are regional development funds for infrastructure, green transition funding for ecotourism and wind farms, Digital Europe programs for that crucial high-speed internet, the Creative Europe program to directly fund indie cinema, and cross-border peace funding to support post-conflict regions. The money is absolutely there.
But here's the real truth of the matter. The bottleneck stopping rural areas from thriving is not a lack of money, and it's not bad geography. The arsenal of tools exists. The true limiting factor? A lack of long-term planning, local coordination, and bold political ambition. A county could receive grants for decades, but it will completely stagnate if local leadership lacks a confident, cohesive vision for its future identity. You need that ambition.
Finally, let's look at our last section, Connecting Two Worlds, Building a Practical Bridge Economy.
To build this bridge economy, a rural county just cannot stay socially closed or culturally insular. Being socially open isn't just some corporate buzzword. Welcoming diverse talent is literally how a rural infrastructure stays economically alive. It stabilizes aging populations so schools and local shops don't have to close. It attracts remote workers escaping those expensive Dublin rents. It brings in the creative diversity that the film industry entirely relies on. The trick is confident balance, preserving authentic Irish rural storytelling while warmly welcoming newcomers.
Let's see this shift in action. Post-Brexit, companies desperately need smoother access between the UK and the EU markets. So instead of being a victim of a traditional boundary, Cavan becomes a cross-border logistics and trade gateway. Instead of rural isolation, it bridges the gap to the city by offering high-speed remote work right in the middle of nature. And instead of historic conflict, it bridges the gap through constructive dialogue and diplomacy, hosting cross-border universities and peace institutes. It's completely flipping the script. Ultimately, bridging these gaps allows Cavan to completely redefine itself. It transforms from a sleepy, overlooked border region into the county connecting worlds. It becomes this dynamic, prestige destination bridging the UK and the EU, rural peace and modern tech, rich history, and a very, very bright future.
Which brings us to our final thought. Take a look at your own hometown, your own local region. Are you just trying to build more generic buildings and copy the nearest big city? Or could your region redefine itself by finding its own unique identity and connecting worlds? Cavan is a total masterclass in reinvention, and it's something every single local leader should be thinking about. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep learning, and I'll catch you next time.